Good afternoon. Is it the Hamatan? Huh? Okay. So basically, I do this kind of talk every single community activity we have. I prefer to call it activities rather than events because events gives it the one-off vibe. But because it's reoccurring, I call it an activity. And the reason why I do this talk every time is to make sure that those who come here for the first time can always find their way around. And those who are veterans can continue contributing to the growth of everyone. Basically, a community is a group of people with a shared goal. So basically, Ubuntu. I am because we are. I hope that makes sense. All right, so first slide. What is today's activity? So today's activity is more or less DevFest, and it's a community activity spread across the group, and everyone is having a version of it in every GDG chapter. And the goal is primarily to share knowledge, to meet new people, network, of course, upwards, and also explore Google technologies. But over time, it's not just Google technologies that are being explored. I hope that makes sense. So DevFest Enugu is more or less the distilled version, particularly for our use case and context. And it's very interesting this year that we've been able to work together with our enablers, our sponsors, and other people within the community. Next slide. All right, so as typical of everything, it seems like one person did this, but to be very honest, there's a lot of moving parts to make this kind of activity happen. And today's MVPs, next slide, basically everyone who was involved in the organizing. If you go around and you find anyone with an organizer tag or a volunteer tag or a sponsor or even an enabler tag, thank them for helping you put together this activity. It's something that keeps giving, and they are the ones who are utilizing their time and resources to make sure that everyone is well seated here. Next slide. And of course, there are people who work behind the scenes. They are our superheroes. Next slide. They are the people who I would always give the props to at all times. They help with the connections that get things moving. They put their reputation on the line. They put their steez on the line as well to make sure that things go smoothly. Sometimes they go as far as taking out of their own pocket in terms of resources to just make sure whatever we are working together on in GDG Enugu goes fine. And there are a lot of them here. And for all intents and purposes, next slide, I'll keep the identity safe. Make we know the pay stars are after now. And for that, I say thank you very much to all of them. Very, very much. It's very helpful when they come around to help out. Next slide. And I'm going to give a very big shout out to our sponsors. There are quite a bunch of them. Some are sponsoring on cash levels. Some are sponsoring with giving resources in one way or the other. And some are also sponsoring with manpower, which means basically they are devoting time to making sure things work around. Yeah? Thank you very much to all of them. Can we give them a round of applause? Next slide. All right, so may I remind you that we have hashtags for today, a single one, DevFest Enugu 24. As you're out there on social media, tweeting or posting on Instagram, kindly use these hashtags. It helps bring visibility to this activity for those who are on the sub-Saharan level, which more or less managers who do organizing, yeah? And basically, please tweet. Now, there's a prize for the person with the highest number of tweets and engagements. I will not say what it is, but be rest assured, it goes. All right? So I'll introduce myself once again. My name is Godson Njoku. I am a co-organizer for GDG Enugu. I'm a glorified kitchen supervisor occasionally, and the things I like are on the internet. Yeah. I also take time to, next slide, to introduce my co-organizer. She sets me up. I will not repay the same favor. I'll just basically say who she is. But she's a lovely person. She has more or less made this thing very easy to do. Her name is Precious Onyewichi. Please wave for them. Abishidoron. Wave. Thank you. So she's also a cognizer and she manages open source programs. Yeah, and very simple, like she has books, cartoons, and slow traveling. Be like when you see her. Thank you. All right, now next, what is GDG Enugu? Next slide. It's basically a subset of GDG globally, but for Enugu people, and it's full of tech professionals, enthusiasts, and those who are willing to learn or looking to make alternative careers in tech Enugu. And basically, we bring ourselves together using various ways or instruments. We do meetups, we do workshops, activities to encourage learning, networking. For the most part, DevFest is usually the crowning effort of the year. So I don't think you'll be seeing any activity from us this year anymore. But starting in the coming year, we'll be rolling out very interesting set of programs. So stay in touch, follow us on Twitter, and keep an eye open for news via your mailbox. All my ladies, we also have something very interesting for you guys. A space where you people can grow and interact and move forward going. And it's called Women Take Makers. And we have one of the leads here. Where are you, Kelechi? Kindly wave, stand so the ladies can meet you. Stand, don't be shy. All right, so that's Kelechi there. So if you are very interested in furthering your growth as a woman in technology, Kelechi is your person. Next. And we also have a subset of the community dedicated to those who are in tertiary institutions and universities. And it's called Google Developer Groups on campuses. Now, for the most part, I only know of an active chapter, which is in UNN, but we are open to having conversations to helping other universities and learning spaces have theirs. Now, if you're passionate about helping people find their ways in this community, in this path that you have chosen, you could come speak to I or Precious and we'll help put you through. Yeah? Does that make sense? Is anyone following? Should we do an icebreaker? All right, let's move on. Next slide. All right, so I'm very sure that people are wondering, how do I get on these spaces? Most likely, if you probably watched on Twitter or whatnot, or maybe a friend invited you, but they didn't give you the full updates, this is the best way to get it. And everything is there, from photo albums to links to joining the community, to the virtual spaces where we have things going on. I hope that makes sense. So I'm just going to give a dramatic pause of 3 seconds so you can scan the URL. Pause. Dramatic. Done. Next slide. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate. So before we go, we're about to go into a networking section. And one thing about networking, people assume it's just exchanging contact and knowing someone. It is for my status, it is my contact list. But networking is so much more than that. And that's why we have one of our sponsors today who is sponsoring the after event jolly. So if you have the time and bandwidth, you should stay back for that. In person of Let's DAP. So if you were coming in, there's definitely a QR code for you to scan and download the app. Now, there is a prize for that. The person with the highest number of DApps, which more or less will mean interactions, is going to get stuff. I'll just go pick it up and we'll display. And I think that's basically it. So we're going to have one more final edition by the fellows at the makeshift band, and it will just be a quick break. So you could stretch your legs, meet new people, dap them, and do have a lovely day. I hope you enjoy the rest of today. Thank you. Round of applause for the mix.